My guest today is one of my favorite people in the industry. He's the owner of EJH Cabinets in Marco Island, Florida, and I've been lucky enough to be a small part in his journey over the last few years into automation in the world of CNC manufacturing. Today, we talk about his early beginnings, his take on volume-based production versus high-end artistry, and ultimately what the future holds for his company. I'm excited to share my conversation with my friend, Mr. Chris Hendrickson. First thing I'd love to start with is essentially the origin story, right? Give us the background on how you got to where you're at with EJH, running the company now, high school, college, and get me to where you are today.
Started off, moved down here to Marco. My parents did back in 1990. So we're down here in Marco Island, Florida. Kind of just like everybody else when they come down, they visit once and buy a house the second time. So that's what we ended up doing. Started going to school there. Just started working at Publix, bagging groceries. And then one day realized my dad has a business that I could eventually take over if I knew what I was doing a little bit of. So got into that, went to school during the night. So I didn't have a go away to college kind of experience. So I kind of just stayed at home, worked through that, bought our own first condo, and then just started going through and taking over and you know, learning a lot through him and the guys around the shop. I mean, he had a lot of talented guys there that I kind of just try to work through. First job, I want my shop spotless. And that was my job for I don't know how long. He wanted to keep me underneath the saws and keeping dusty all over. And I think it was the dirtier I was, the better I felt about it because I knew my dad. And then he would just say, "Well, you did good, but you missed a spot over here." And I felt like I was just filthy. But he was just that perfectionist with that kind of thing. So um, that's just the way my dad. So my biggest pet peeve, and you ask any guy in my shop, is a dirty floor. When I see it, I just feel like I don't care how well the job looks, everything's perfect. The floor's dirty. I get a little bent out of shape myself. You can ask some of the guys there. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's that. But so eventually started going and working with him through the school, doing that. And then eventually in '06, '07, right around the best time of our economy here, he ended up having a stroke. So when he had the
Jeez.
stroke, I ended up having to, um, cursing's allowed?
Sure.
Shit
Let
or
her
get off
rip.
the pot. So, it was one of those things like I needed to take over. I was still in the infancy stages of learning how a business works. Again, I don't have a 4-year business degree. I don't have a construction cabinet degree. Learning through him. He worked in construction from the age of 15 through his Vietnam years in just going through here, master staircase, home builder. He had all this kind of self-knowledge. I'm just learning from dad. See how he did things where it wasn't he again, he probably didn't have the degree. So he was one of those just a construction worker that, knew what he was doing and he saw something, he knew how to fix it. So if anything, got that from him. Again, I told my guys all the time, I might not know how to put that together, but I tell you how I want it and we'll get it done together. If we work together on it, there's nothing that we can't do. So kind of saw that how he did that. He was a whole lot more hands-on in he would say, "Give me the hammer, I'll take care of this." Like one of those things. And maybe that's what pushed him over the edge with his health, which with his stroke that he ended up having. So I had to essentially take over at that point. And if I didn't, I don't think we're sitting here talking, Nick, to be honest with you. So, first couple days when I took over, I was the boss and I was at home playing video games, because I could do whatever I want. I own this company now. But when money wasn't rolling in, I had to do something. So, I ended up having to make those uncomfortable phone calls, which I just, as a young kid, I mean, six, so we're
Yeah.
20 years
How old were
ago,
you? How old were
uh,
you at that point?
20 years old. So, like,
So at 20, you had to step up and
this next year will be my kind of 20th anniversary of by myself. And by myself with, his and I mean, he was running a kind of a manufacturing back then, no machines, saw table, and like that was a
yeah.
saw guy, and that was it. That's all he kind of ended up doing. No finishing, anything like that. So it's like we're in a whole different realm now. But You know,
how big was the business right at that moment in '06, '07 in terms of employees and
he
kind of how
probably
much
had
work you
20
were
to
doing?
24 guys, I would think.
And you had to step up at 20 years old unexpectedly and take the
Well,
reins?
unexpectedly that, he's in the hospital and,
Wow.
we're trying to get over this whole, like, we're learning this ourselves now. What do we have to figure out with dad? Is he going to go back to work? Is he able to go back to work? And, at we kind of just made a family decision that it's like not best for his stress level, because that's the one thing the doctors asked him, and they kind of looked at my brother and myself as, do you work in a stressful situation? He's like, I ran 20 guys in an industry that was kind of like the
Yeah.
housing market. Once it crashed, he kind of looked at it. He was right on the kind of the good side of the crash, and I was on the bad side of the crash. So eventually, a year or so later, he looked at me. He's like, look, you made it through that. If you can make it through that, you'll make it through anything that anybody can throw at you, just so long as you keep doing what you're doing. If you don't, you're going to end up being in the same situation and be a statistic. So it was one of those things. Just like you gotta do what you do. So learn maybe the hard way. I mean, went from 24 guys fully running a machine in what he was doing to myself and one guy that's still currently on payroll and another guy that retired 2020. So that was like, and my dad had guys for 20 plus years. Like there was no changeover. I mean, he just didn't like it. I mean, I'm not a fan of it. I like to keep guys and let them grow throughout if we can. I mean, I like seeing guys like we have one guy with us that I mean, he's doing remarkable things. And it's just, seeing that he was beside me during this hard time, so it was like one of those things, again, you deal with that and I guess you can get through some things if you know how to just get through
Yeah.
it. But
So I see. So after that, the shop shrunk down to three people from 20.
three people, yes.
Wow.
Three people, sold my car, sold everything.
Wow.
Whatever I had to do to keep, yeah.
How about from there up to where you are now?
Yeah, so back up to, 20 to 24 guys is what we kinda, like, fluctuate around. I think at our max is 25 and, it's 20 is comfortable. I mean, it's always at that you go next step and you're gonna have to get, it's not another guy is gonna help you get to that next level or, machine essentially is what we're trying to keep our guys here and, automate as much as we can these days, just because there is a skill level, I mean, thing that we have down. We like skillful employees. I mean, guys that wanna know how to do it or know how to do it, they do want to kinda learn and grow as well, so I think that's what we kinda really have. So ever
And
since then, it was like, just dealing with that and going through that stage of the life and just kinda keep growing and making things happen, um, eventually got us to where we're at now, um, so just kinda learning from that, really.
yeah, tell me a little bit about your jump into automation, somewhere around 2021, I think, and buying a CNC and really starting to focus on cabinet software and manufacturing in that manner. What made you take that leap to start?
Well, I mean, it was 20 2018, 2019. We were looking at a CNC. My whole thing, and I keep telling myself this and probably everybody else that maybe talks to me on the outside of things, is I like to I feel like I'm calculated in the business side of things, but when it's like personal, I'll just jump into things. But I like to calculate things. So again, my first step was Mosaic, like jumping into Mosaic, because if I jumped into a CNC and I didn't know how to cut the machine, like I didn't know how any of that, I felt like if I could learn a program, so that's like, I think it's 2017, 2018, around then when I jumped into that and started working on the, um, at cam side of things. Learn the program. We were still cutting on a table saw with Mosaic, doing, door lists, which were a lot better than, Chris calculating how much eighth is over here and the door's not coming in the right size. So it's like once we did that, that helped clean up a lot of errors that happen. Um, Now I told my guys like, hey, it's the computer's fault. It's whatever's the computer's doing. Mind
That's
you, it's
right.
my fault. So it's always,
Of course.
but I kind of like that. Like I kind of told my guys as well, like with the drawings, if something's wrong, it's on me now. Like I rather be on me and my, maybe my engineering team in the office, as opposed to saying, why didn't you build the cabinet the right way? Like, why didn't you do this and do that? Like pointing fingers is always three pointing back at you. So it never works out when you do that. So I kind of like having that little thing. So I learned through that. That's how I was kind of learning through the CAD CAM software, trying to just draw kitchens with Mosaic as best I could. Did a couple trainings and then just kind of took off from there. Again, like going back to when I was working with my dad, it was, 2020, Pro Kitchen, all these other, just trying everything out and going with what was cool and new. Essentially, oh, this had a great look. Designers like the way things look, so we kind of have to have that. Once we get into the mosaic side of it, then I started looking at CNCs. Like, I think this was the next step. I remember sitting my dad on the couch and said, "Hey, I'm gonna get a CNC." He's like, "Better run 24/7. Don't run 24/7. Ain't gonna make no money for you." I was
Yeah.
like, "Dad, they don't cost that much money anymore." He's like, "How much?" I'm like, "Dad, they're like, you can get some good ones for like 50, 60, 70, and then you can run with it. Or you get some big ones. I mean, they cost big money, but you can get your feet wet into this game with a very nice uh, we have a shop saver. I mean, love it.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
done me very well.
You've made a lot of
Um,
money with that machine for sure. A lot of
Probably
parts.
bought a few of them twice, 3 times, 4
Yeah,
maybe. I don't wanna
that's good.
it's definitely a great running machine. I mean, I have nothing against that. I mean, I think we're right now at that point of going the other just getting, upgrading, and doing something what we can do now. But
Yeah.
again, I think it's a excellent starting point. I mean, my guys at the shop they're blown away. I know my one guy that was with me through that tough time, I think he looked at me when we dropped the CNC and he's like, "Well, there goes my job. Like I'm out of
Yep.
here." And I was like, "No, that's not what it is. It's making your
No.
job easier. Just
Right.
this is going to make your job easier." I said, "There's no way you could produce what we're producing on a table saw. There's just no way. Like there's no way what we're doing now if I had a table saw still, we're probably not talking either." So because I mean, I wouldn't need anybody to tell me how to design these fun things. So
And I'm guessing, I mean, like anything, he just repurposed his skill set and took over running the CNC, I'm sure, and then kind of helps run the shop in a way too for you, right?
oh yeah, 100. Like he's now running the shop in the back. I think he became like still has, again, when I have an issue, I go back there with him. We talk it through. Can we do this? Can we do that? There's, I don't think there's any pride loss in asking that question. Like, hey, how do we figure this out? Because if I want to do it myself and have this badge of I did it myself thing, it's one, we're not going to go anywhere further than that. So it's like, always getting him to help me out and his guidance on a lot of those things. Cause he did have that kind of background that I didn't have, like the building of things. He built the cabinets. He installed the cabinets. I never got to the install section because my dad had that health issue. So if my next step was like install and then building cabinets and then keep learning and learning. And I mean, he did pass away 2 years ago, and he's only 73, so he probably still be working at a limited pace. But I don't know if he would get a CNC machine. So maybe it's good that I had that I had to take over thing because get this thing evolving a little bit more. Um, no, but I mean, it's going back to that would be where we started out with the CNC program, and then that just kind of started taking off, and just got this lovely email from a guy named Nick, and kind of just
It's funny you
as my
bring that
wife's
up.
yeah yeah
I saw that you sent that to me earlier. I'm
of
actually
course I
gonna
think
I know I'm gonna read it because I have to. So
I did read it. Now I will say I have it printed somewhere, but it says a customer of mine. I don't know if it was a customer that you were doing cabinets for, or a customer you were doing help with. So
so for those that are listening, originally met Chris in 2021, and I wasn't sure when. It turns out it was June, and I sent him a cold email out of nowhere. I'm not even really sure where I got your email address
it was
from
probably
because
on Mosaic's form because I went on there. I
it
saw
may have
people
been like a help wanted or
help
something.
wanted. I need somebody helping me
Yeah,
with drawings. I got too much, I was doing too
yeah,
many
yeah, yeah.
drawings at one time. So
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
Mhm.
And so Chris found the old email and sent it to me. And here's what it said.
I'm saving it.
It says, "Hi Chris, my name is Nick Frost, and I'm an independent CNC software consultant. I got your name from a customer of mine who said you were a Mosaic software user.
Mm.
Total lie. Sorry.
That's how you do it.
My business helps shops like yours all over the country get the most out of their CNC software, and I'd be happy to see where I can help your business. Don't hesitate to reach out. My business handles requests large and small in a quick, efficient manner. You can check out our work and services at the website below. Give me a call or text at this number or email back if you're interested." Man, that's kind of cringy to listen, like read back
Well,
now.
you think about it,
Because
but
it's
it's like
so,
that's how you get. I mean,
it is.
it is. So I mean,
But like hearing myself say all over the country when you were maybe number 3 or number 2
okay, I'll
is,
take that.
is pretty hilarious.
Well, hey, I mean,
Um,
again, when I got the email, I was like, okay, is this guy in another country? Is he here? Let's just take this cold
Well,
call and
I
call
was
him
just
up and talk to him. I
I was gonna say I got a text from you that night. I think
think
like it
so.
must
Yeah.
have been a half an hour later or something, and
Yeah.
I could tell both of us were kind of trying to figure out if the other one was real.
I don't know
Like,
if I was getting
is
catfished.
this?
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know if I was getting catfished or something.
yeah. Is this really happening? Um, and shortly after, it did. Right, we kind of met for the first time, and I think you had landed your CNC maybe a month prior to that. Does that sound
I
right?
think so because it
Maybe
was
2 months.
it was so what got me going into the CNC world as well, what really made me jump into this manufacturing part of things was, COVID essentially, like because lead times ballooned. And when the CNC was there, we were kind of
Hmm.
working. I mean, yeah, I think it was almost like March or I'll have to
Yeah, it
look
might
at
have
the
been
dates for you. But yeah, I mean, it would have been
a
around
few
then. But
months.
yes, I was learning how to, I mean, I put the tool upside down the first time. I thought it looked cool looking at my tools upside down. Then I realized that ain't gonna pick it up. I mean, this is infancy stuff. And I think I had a tech from he was in Orlando that came down. This is, I mean, before your email, you probably would have flew in to help me set it up a different way. But
Hmm.
he came in, he's like, well, those are wrong. I was like, they look right. He's like, they're upside down. There's no way to pick up a tool. I was like,
Yeah, yeah,
that's why you're here. That's why you're here.
yeah.
It would have just crashed first day and crash and burn. But so
Yeah,
it again, ask for help. That's my whole thing.
yeah.
If anything, I'm learning how
Well,
that
that's a
user
really
group that you
good.
guys have is excellent for that. It really is. So
Yeah, that's actually a question that I wanted to ask you, and not just because I'm here with you, but like talk about the training part, right? Because there's still a lot of users out there that, for better or worse, don't ever ask for help, don't get that additional training, and it's not that they can't make their CNC work. You can, but to me, I think it's everything you leave on the table when you don't ask for that next level. You can kind of get to maybe an average point, but you
Mhm.
just leave so much function and utilization of a CNC on the table. I think.
Oh yeah,
Tell me your experience. Do you feel the same way about that?
I'm 100% with that. Like as you're younger, trying to become this myself. Like I'm 20 years old, trying to just become a better cabinet, shop and do things a little bit different. Holding these tricks high, behind my coat. I don't want anybody knowing how I did this. So I look at a couple of the emails that I sent you. I gave you a list after our first talk, and you're like, well, look at this. I got myself a sailfish on now. So we got this guy that wants all this help because he doesn't know what he's doing. And I mean, it was pretty much, it was that. Like, it was just, if you don't ask for help, you're not gonna get to that. I mean, you can eventually. I mean,
Hmm.
I
Oh
don't
yeah.
know how many text messages I have that I would send to you or other people, Phil, I mean, he's on here. So
Yep. Yep.
you and Phil are the guys I text, and even like Jason, anybody. Like I was texting Nate today. There's a lot of these guys. Hey, how'd you do this? And if they don't respond to me, I kind of like it when they don't respond. You would always maybe not respond, and then I would figure it out on myself, and then I would say, hey, never mind, we're good.
Yeah.
There is something figuring out yourself, but I think it's one
There
of
is.
those what do they call it? Someone told me like an engineering thing, like a rubber ducky effect. Like you put a duck and you just talk to it how you're going to do it. And that's what I would do when I was texting you or anybody. And eventually I figured out as I'm texting, and then I'm just like, delete, this is how you're supposed to do it. And then when it didn't work out, I'm like, okay, Nick, fix everything I did wrong that I thought I knew what I was doing. And I'm sure there was plenty of those. You're like, oh my gosh, look at this guy. This is fun. So, but no, I think asking for help is excellent. I think I love the group. I am not an avid Facebook group guy. I'm not
Yes, we
anywhere
all
on there.
know.
So what you getting me on here was like, okay, what are we gonna do? Where am I gonna see this? Am I even gonna
We
watch this? Probably not, because I don't like hearing
Yeah,
myself
we
talk.
all
So
know. Once a month, I tell you to go get in the groups.
I do. I go once a month, and I think like today I saw Nate's pocket door system that I've been toying with for the last. I mean, we do pocket doors every day, and how to make it proper. Nate's post, and then randomly go on there and find something, and I'll just send somebody a message. Another guy, a guy named Ethan, I had a question. Just ask. I mean, I just asked him, hey, what do you think about this? Because that's a $185,000 question. How much is this machine? I mean, I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. And he's a shop, he's using it. I don't have that answer. I mean, the salespeople have that answer, but it might be their answer that they want to give you. This is a guy that says, hey,
Right.
do this, do that. And
Yep.
same with
Perspective
you
from
guys.
shop owners that own machines and have actually ran them for a while is critical. And
think
Ethan's an
it's
awesome guy. I'm glad that you guys were able to
yeah, I
connect.
know we just touched base today, just had that one question and, a couple things. He's like, "Yeah, I wish I got that." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm on the fence." He's like, "Do it if you can." So it was like one of those, if we didn't, I'm now that guy telling the next person that asked me about my shop and, about this. Again, I think it's great when you can get to a point and share some of the knowledge too. And yeah, as a young kid, you want everything in your shop. Like nothing needs to do not come
Hmm.
over my bridge. Like I have a bridge I wish I can go pay to have a toll. And any construction cabinet guide cannot go over without passing go. No passing go, no $200, nothing. So it's just, but there's so much of it. I mean, it stinks when you see people in your territory, but again, if you get all the jobs and you have all your clients and you make them all somewhat happy, what good is it if you can't make the guys that you're working for extremely happy? So I think it's like you can share the wealth. I mean, there's so much of it around, and
For sure. And I
that's
think
like
especially in your market too, right? Like Marco, maybe not necessarily, but like the Naples area,
just
ton,
overexpand. It's
I mean, over like by a lot, right? There's houses going up everywhere, remodels going
communities
on
going up. They're
everywhere.
going further east into the Everglades. It's going to have neighbors as, alligators and airboat rides as their neighbor. It's just, it's going, you can't go west. West is in the bay, in the ocean, and the ocean is just too much money for everybody to even swim
Yeah.
in. So, you don't want to touch that. So,
Yeah.
you like working there. It's nice to work there. I mean, there's a few projects we like to work in that area. But no, it's just new homes going up. And I think it's the one thing someone always asks my dad or myself, why aren't you moving off Marco? And it's, my dad's response to that was, there's 20 plus condos. They're not tearing a condo down. They tear the condos out. They remodel the condos. So if there's 500 units in this condo, there's 500 units to potentially be remodeled over the course of how long? Until they say this condo is, you know, not deemed safe to live in, let's tear it down and put a new, nicer, more, lavish condo for us to spend more money on, then fine. But it's not going, and that's kind of where he, bread and buttered himself, got into those and just kept building and building there. So there's always a start point, and there's
Well,
always a
that comment was brought up two things that I was actually going to ask you about. One of them is about being on Marco. Maybe some of the positives of kind of being somewhat. I mean, isolated is the wrong word because you're not that far from Naples, but you kind of have a community there. And I know some of your work is up in Naples, but what are some of the pros and cons of maybe being out away from the big population center of Naples?
those are. I mean, I guess we get to go over the bridge and see the nice sunsets and sunrises every day. That's a pro, right? So, I mean, it's unfortunate we don't get to go. We don't go to the beach as much as we do. So, for that, a pro I would say is it is a tight area. So you kind of get in with your builders, and your builders know you, and customers on the island like that they don't have to drive 45 minutes. And when it's season, I mean, you're talking an hour 15, hour 20 because there's so many people. So, you're going a 25-minute drive is now an hour. So they have to drive to Naples and they'll pick things out. So I think that's a pro maybe for builders. They kind of say, hey, it's on the island. You're on the island. It's easy. I mean, that's how we work with clientele as well. I mean, cons of that, it's on the island. I mean, we can't get goods every single day. I mean, unless we fulfill an order of over, I think it was at one time like $500 an order, which, used to be like a skid of plywood. Now it's like 3 sheets of plywood. So you kind of easily can
Right.
get that now.
Yep.
Um, I mean, I remember my dad was there and they're like, hey, we can't come to you guys but 3 days a week. And then it was one day a week. And my dad's like, well, he's like, just make sure you order your stuff for if you forget it on Wednesday, Tuesday, you're not getting it for a full week. So get in your truck and go to Fort Myers and get it. Or, hopefully meet you. I mean, I don't know how many times we met somebody at Lowe's right up the street, just right over the bridge they'll go, but they won't come to Marco. So we meet them in the truck and just load the plywood in the back of the truck in their parking lot. Like, so Lowe's wasn't probably happy about that. We're not buying from them, we're buying from the source. So they have plenty of money.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, that's probably like the major pros and cons I would say would be, getting things to Marco. Uh,
Does that include people,
Employment,
employment
like
pool?
yeah, I mean, it is, it's a drive. And I think I mean, the employment is definitely, probably paid, you know, it's a drive. I mean, I have a guy that drives 2 hours, he drives 2 hours a day, and
One
it's
way?
yeah, in traffic, he can get 2 hours one way. Like, and it's just like, he's been with me from helper stages, now he's, like, lead installer, so he's doing it, and I fully understand like how much, because I mean, at one point my drive was 45 minutes to an hour. So I mean, it was. So I kind of told all the guys and the girls that work for us, I'm like, hey, I'm driving 45 minutes to an hour, so I think we can all do it. And it's tough. I mean, gas isn't cheap. It's not free. I
And
mean,
then you
there's
had to
not.
move real close, and now you can't say that anymore.
Yeah. So I mean, yes, got closer, but not on the
Yes,
island.
that's
Um,
true.
the wife said flood insurance was too much because in the storms that everybody don't cons hurricanes come nice. They like to funnel right next to
Yeah.
us. So,
That
but
was actually another one of my questions that I wanted to ask you is I remember in the past, I don't remember which hurricane it was, but you sent me some pictures of using your CNC to like tie the roof down or something,
yeah,
as weight.
it's heavy.
And what that's got to be an interesting. I mean, how many times a year do you have one of those moments where you gotta like brace for it? Is it
I mean,
yearly?
so I think it's a Floridian thing, and if you've been here for quite a while, I mean, when we moved down here in '90, our first storm was Andrew, which was probably one of the most devastating ones of Florida. I mean, in current modern time that I would know. I mean, there were some older ones that I don't think my parents were around for those, but Andrew came through, and that's kind of where you have um, the manufactured homes. Like they kind of want to get rid of many of those as they can because those things they're tin cans essentially. So that kinda ravished the whole area. I mean, I remember that's probably the first and only one we kinda fled the area, and we were new. I
I
mean,
see.
my brother and I were 6 and, 8 and 6, I think, respectively. Wait, 90, 84. No, I was 6 years old and he was 4. So, I mean, we're sitting there. I was my daughter's age when we moved down here. Uh, so having that, like, they're like, "Okay, grab some things." I'm taking baseball card. I'm like, we don't have no
Right.
concept of what's going on." Like, we're
Right.
taking my doll. You're taking a
Yeah. Yeah.
baseball and a bat, you whatever's near and dear to your heart at that point, but I think that was the only time, and now, like, there's a meme that all of our everybody in the area sends through, and then, like, a hurricane, a category 4 or so pops through, and it's unfortunate. I mean, they ravished the area, and it's we have not well, no, we have Irma destroyed my shop, like, it destroyed my entire it blew all my
Yep.
doors in, my shop was down and out for as long as it took me. I had no showroom for, like, 8 months just to kinda.
What year was that?
It was 17, 2017, I believe.
Yeah.
They start to become a blur, that's the other thing.
I
Anything so
I
we
bet.
we do say now, any name storm starts with an I, we're out of here because it's, Irma, Ian, and then I think there's another one that just kinda came through and really caused some damage on it, but there's some bad ones out there, but, no, I mean, those are you kinda like, you gotta know where you're at, like, Marco's tricky. There are some low-lying areas, so floodwaters, they can come up. Ian was the one that kind of flooded everybody's house.
Hmm.
Irma was the one who took everything off, so it was like those were two of the century storms as they call them that kind of really damaged a lot of things. I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate that people. I mean, there's some houses that are gone. People just leave the keys and go because there's just so much that they can't do. I mean, Fort Myers Beach was destroyed with Ian, like just gone, and we're never gonna know what old Fort Myers Beach was or any of these
Right.
old towns that can't rebuild that old lifestyle anymore. So it's like now it's just all new. Margaritaville's coming in. It's nice, but you don't get that old world Florida that I think a lot of people do
Right.
enjoy when they go visit places.
Yeah.
Um, no, but I mean, when you kind of see these storms, and if it gets to a category 3 or 4, you start to get a little nervous, and then a 5, you kind of really sit there, okay, what are we doing? And then we all wait till it goes around or see where it's at and how far off it. How are we going to be the dirty side? Are we the clean side? So, but eventually when the storm passes, we all send the one that has a lawn chair tipped over and said, "I survived the hurricane." And it's a joke, but I mean, it's a joke to us, but sometimes it's serious to other people.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Well,
I had the one experience in 17. I don't want to go through it again. I don't want to deal with that. That
yeah. I
nobody
bet.
wants to deal with this more than one time. So
Well, another thing that you had brought up earlier when you were talking about your conversation with Ethan, who has Millcraft Cabinetry. What goes into your decisions for adding machines? How do you look at those types of purchases? How do you do your kind of ROI, and when do you decide to pull the trigger?
ROI is something that I would kind of like the first, like the shop saver was like, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna buy it. We just jumped into it, and I guess maybe I need to go back to my 2021, 19, self and just jump into some things. It's when you get to the bigger ticket items, it's a little. tricky just to jump into some of those things. So, like our next big thing was our spray line finishing system. I mean, we just got to a point with our finishers who did an amazing job, and they still do. It just got to, hey, I'll have it to you Friday. I'm like, I know, but and trying one of those things that they were afraid of a machine coming in and taking over their job. And I just said, all it's going to do is make the job easier for you to keep us on schedule, to keep us busy year round, and not have to worry about not getting that job landed to that client at that point it's unacceptable. And if it happens, it's just a bad mark on the whole
Yeah.
company the whole
Right.
company and essentially, the face. So I kind of like to have
So
everything
has that been true? In terms of making their job easier and simply being able to count on timelines a little better. Is that
a
how
little
it's
better.
worked
Yeah,
out?
definitely 100%. Like the CNC definitely helped with that 100%. Like there's no questions about that. Downtime's something you have to figure in. I mean, we're 4 or 5 years into this whole like journey of CNC world machines and machinery in general, but scheduling a down day. Some days with 0 on the schedule is okay because there's leak over or there's maintenance that you need to do, and if you don't do it, eventually you replace a spindle. So, I mean, I don't
I
know
think that's a
how to do
really
that.
important message because
Mhm.
I'm currently still terrible at that.
Oh, I'm
And I know a
horrible
lot
at
of
it.
shop owners are terrible at that is everything is scheduled down to the minute and then the second that gets thrown off,
Done.
you just like spiral for a while and try and catch up
You
and
spiral for a while to the point where like this happened to us. This happened to us the first time it happened to us, and my guy and I looked, they said, "No more. We can't do that. Like we have to fix how we do this and what are we gonna do?" It, we got to the point where like, you know what? We knew what the CNC could produce. We knew that it could produce it. We knew it could get us caught back up, but we kind of didn't. And this, we didn't have our finishing. We didn't think about anything else except for the cabinet parts being cut.
yep.
So it doesn't just take a cabinet part. It takes an entire village to do everything. So like everybody has to touch it. And if you only think in one section, other section, the backside is not getting its love, and you kind of just you just get deep behind. So, I mean, that
Yeah.
kind of,
Well,
happened
that's a
one
good
to us.
point. So right, talking about that, when you add flatline finishing to speed that process up, where does that move the next bottleneck to? What did you notice about like what's the holdup now?
Well, the holdup's
If one comes
myself.
up,
It's
is it
myself.
you?
Like, oh, yeah, I could think when I start looking at things like, the holdup could definitely, I mean, I think it's and I think this was listening to, another podcast I was talking, Brad Cranes, is it Kane? Yeah, Cranes,
Yep.
right? Yeah, so listen to his guy
Canes.
Canes, yeah.
Yep.
Don't yeah, so he visits Marco, he saw my trucks and he's dropped in the shop, and that's like, again, one of those, cold calls or I sent him a message on Facebook or wherever it was and just dropped the mic and ran away and just
Yep.
got away from Facebook or social media as fast as I could, and he saw my truck driving and found out where we were and just stopped by. So,
That's
but
awesome.
no, I mean, listen to that, it was like the bottleneck could be a machine, it could be a person in the back, but a lot of times it's the office. Like if I don't give them a perfect, and there's everybody wants to be perfect, but if it's close to perfect set of plans with information in there, they're just going to produce what I gave them. And if it's wrong, it's going to end up being produced wrong, and we're going to have problems. So I think right now my bottleneck might be myself, my
Hmm.
office, just trying to get that thing well oiled, getting back to because once you start getting people calling, it's you have a lot of people and a lot of people to answer to, and a lot of clients to get drawings to, and that's where we have currently 2 other designers, myself and, one remote. She's working on 2020, so she does, like, my visuals, and then she'll do some of my ordered cabinets because we do order some cabinets depending on the price point. So we have that, and then my engineer in the office, he kinda helps with one bit he's, like, specific to one builder, one of like, our main account, just like our not production, because nothing's really production home on Marco, it's every one of them is custom to the client. It's just more they have, like, a 3 set floor plan and, they'll add modifications to it as needed to the client.
So just like a limited choice
Yeah, a
type
limited
of.
choice kinda builder where I mean, I'm sure if the client said, "Hey, I've got a book that's open and it's a checkbook and whatever I want, can you build?" He wouldn't say no. I don't know. We have some I mean, we've been seeing a little bit more of a custom like flair to a lot of these houses. I don't know if maybe that's something that we kinda open up that can of worms to the designers and the clientele, and yeah, we can do that. Like, again, I think it's the having remote, and I don't tell them about my other engineers I have off staff that I pay myself.
Yep. Good.
Yours, you, Phil. I have engineers. They don't know where they work for, but they they work for me and,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
a bunch of other people. But the the answering to the we can't do that is I think my dad's biggest issue is not saying no to anybody. My biggest issue is not saying no. And now that I have it, you kind of create a team around you. And that's going back to that one question about asking questions. If you have a team around you, there's no reason why you should be saying no to a client. I mean, we did a suspended wall bed, from the ceiling because Nick was involved. I'd still be trying to figure out how to get the angle right with Sokotoa, right? Is that what we learned that trip?
We did do a little trigonometry that
Yeah.
project. Yeah.
Which we all think we don't need when we're in school. Obviously, it's not
Yeah.
needed until you start
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
angles and stuff and
Um,
such. So,
well, let's talk about that part now. I mean, so obviously, I kind of inherently know a little bit about your business, having one kind of main builder like you just mentioned. And how many homes a year in peak do you do for them?
so at peak, it was about 80 to
Okay.
85 homes. So right now, I think they felt comfortable. They're comfortable around 40 to 50 homes,
Okay. So
something
it's
around
dialed
there.
back a little bit
It's dialed back a little
recently.
bit, which, it's, it's a bittersweet feeling because you're like 80 homes. I mean, it's a great year and
That's a
it's a
lot.
great, but I
Because
think when
how
you,
many are in progress at any given time if
so
you're
right
doing
now in
80?
progress, like right now they have about 30 homes in progress and 5 to 6. My guy in the office, Josh, he just re-updated his little Excel, like a spreadsheet that we have progressing how far they are. Like he stepped up big time and did that for us. Like when they came, I'm like, hey, again, Excel, things like that, the good things you should know. I'm not really good at. Again, I think it's I don't know if I read it in a book or somewhere, but surrounding yourself with experts is good. Like
Abs-
having people that are really good at
Absolutely.
that, it's because I don't know everything. I mean, I wish I knew
100%.
more, but I mean, that's why I have people on speed dial and
Yep. And
not
you have to
retainer, but speed dial. So
yep, and you have to delegate. I mean, it's the
I
only
have to
way.
delegate, and he did excellent
Coming
with that.
from a guy who can't delegate at all, I'm really
Of
bad
course.
at
Well,
it,
we
and I'm
always
getting
say
better at
we
it.
need to delegate, but
Uh,
we just don't do it, right?
yeah,
We need somebody to say, "Hey, delegate," and yeah, okay, sounds good, we'll do it. But I think it was my
but I
dad.
think
He didn't delegate. I mean, if I don't know if I wasn't there, he wouldn't have delegated anything. He was a I can do everything kind of thing, and it's great. I think that's a great, kind of way of doing things. But it's not bad to have help behind you. A support team is excellent. I mean, the guys in the
yep,
back that know what they're doing, lean on them. The guys in my office, like I just kind of, hey, this is your baby. Like take it, do everything you need. You need help? Get with me. I go, I have guys that can help us around the country. Now we are around the country, so we can say it. And
yep.
and so we can do that. Are you international yet or no?
I mean, I guess is Canada international?
Yes, if it's not the
Sure,
United States, right? You have some Mexico
a little
clients
bit,
or no?
a little bit.
Okay, so yeah, you're somewhat
Yeah,
I mean, we need a passport to go there, so I guess international, right?
it's international to me.
Right.
Uh,
But
the reason I brought up kind of having one builder supply a lot of homes. You also have what we'll call artsy projects, right? These kind of bigger, tend to be modern, but sometimes traditional, but uh, projects that take a lot of your time, a lot of details, architects involved, calling out all sorts of things.
mhm, yes.
Uh, what do you prefer? Do you like the artsy project? Do you like the production where things can be more structured? What do you prefer?
Well, I think the early Chris, when I first met Nick, yourself, are, and I'm reading books. There's kind of if you're not custom. I mean, everybody wants to be a custom cabinet shop. Like everybody wants custom cabinet shop because I think the money can be there. I think the money can be there in the production as well.
Of
Production
course.
side of things, commercial. I mean, there's guys out there that do only commercial and they do it excellent. I just don't dabble in commercial. I might do like a commercial project for a designer that knows the guy that knows the guy, and we work on
Right.
there. That's kind of how I would get into a commercial project. But there is a fine line. Like there's the custom side that I absolutely love, and I think everybody loves that. That's like we don't say no side, and then this side is the anything you want to do is easily done. Like this is we don't think about what we have to do over here. Um, I think a year ago or so I found myself on this side a little closer to this side, and I told myself, and I think I told my wife, I'm losing my touch. I'm losing my touch that I can look at things, and I'm losing my design, my design brain, because if you just
Yeah.
start drawing boxes and you're drawing boxes, same cabinet, same, because we just cut boxes every day. It's great. It's great for the bank account and things like
Mm-hmm.
that, and the machinery buying, and that's how you buy machines is when you're doing things like that, and you pay your guys and things. But
Yep.
the artsy side of things, I mean, it's there's companies out there that have mastered that, like just mastered how they do those, you know, building in the showroom and showing the client what it's going to look like before it's installed. I think is the ultimate goal and the only way of doing those.
Mm-hmm.
We've known a couple just watching the Instagram posts and things like that, which is
Yep.
like the dreams you
We
have.
can
It's like,
we can say their name. Roa
yeah,
is
Roa.
a
I
big
think
one,
another guy
right?
that was I talked to Phil about. It's out west, I believe, and something. It's I see him on
Uh,
LinkedIn.
is it linear fine woodworking?
Linear fine woodwork. Yeah. So I mean,
Yep.
it's amazing. Like, cheers to you guys. It's amazing work. Like, it's just, and again, I think going back to that is, complimenting other guys on their work is great. I mean, it's just
Mm-hmm.
what they because you can learn from that. I mean, there's guys that do it. They're perfections. I mean, that's just perfection. It's just the only way to do those. And I think square footage is our kind of biggest holdback right now. We're only at like a 6,000 square foot facility that we're building everything out of, and probably 3,000 of that is probably machines, footprint
Right.
size, essentially one
Yeah.
big bay. And so it gets a little, sticky and tight when you're in there working. But I mean, to go back to the question, I think if I really want to, and you told me I can't have both. So I got to pick one. So, I
I
mean,
did say that to you at one point that you can't have both. I'm not sure I feel that way anymore. I mean, it's
I think if you got it down right, if you can make a lot of these things again, parametric was a term that you kind of taught me. There was like not putting just a number in there, make it so if you need to revisit that cabinet, you can revisit it and know that it's going to be built right the next time. Don't just because that was the way I used to just kind of I needed 3 inches bigger or a notch in there. I just called out three and it was great, but the next time it was off, and I was wondering why is it wrong because I said it was three. So I think if you kind of always use a parameter, and I think Grant might like that too because they don't see the rainbow, the skills. I love when he said that back, and I was like, well, don't look at some of my cabinets because I have every color in there. So but it
yeah.
worked. I mean, it worked great. So it's just having those simplified things. But I, I think there's the True 32 book I was reading there. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's three kind of like there's three ways of building cabinets. I mean, there's your commercial production, and there's like a parametric shop essentially, and that's I think it's kind of where when we were talking about where my shop should almost be and go because we had these 70, 80, even 40 to 60 homes, something like that, and then the dozen, 2 dozen, custom, semi-custom houses. So, you know, th- and again, the 40 to 60 are semi-custom houses. They're still they're gonna be the cabinets are still made the same way. We're still constructing like the design. We try to keep the sizes, pretty half-inch increments as opposed to like 30 seconds or 16ths. I mean, I think it's even crazy if I do that on a custom job. I try to keep that with a half-inch increment or something just to keep it, rudimentary somehow. We start looking at these numbers, they get crazy. If we start looking at metric numbers, I don't even know how to do that, but those numbers get big. So that's
Yeah.
all I know.
Yeah, we'll be recording with Bobo Buckley here in a couple days
Cool. His book's
out
right
there
here
at
on
True
my
32.
desk right now, and I only
I'm
got
glad
to
you
the
bought it.
ones I only yeah, no, well, you gave it to me, so let's be fair. You gave it to me. I actually bought the audio version. I was like, I can listen to an audiobook.
Yep.
I think this is when you were handing the book out when you had your name in there and the machine part of things. You're like, hey, you got to read this one
I
page, and I was like, okay,
I gave
fine.
it to a couple people. Yes.
Still have to get it
Um,
signed, but that's about it. So
uh, One of the things I wanted to ask you, so prior to CNC and even after, you do buy out a fair number of items, right? Drawer boxes, if they're dovetail. You were buying out doors prior to CNC, right? Five-piece
yeah, so
doors.
We, yeah, my dovetails. We make those with a phone call. We used to
Hmm.
our 5-piece doors, we make those with a phone call. So we
Amen.
still make everything. We just make the phone call instead of make the actual part. There and again, there's space limiting. I mean, again,
Of
you
course.
were you were pointing me in the dovetail direction, and, when you get beautiful dovetails in a week and, something comes wrong and you call them up and there's another one there in, less than 5 days, it's great
Yep.
because there's kinda just so long as you put the numbers in right, and that's about it. But I mean, there's even exporting, the CFZ files now to make it easy for ordering. So there's no
Yep.
that's where the Mosaic produces that cut, that list. It's easy now. You don't have to kind of type the number out and put an 8 in front of the 125 and have a big drawer, or have it the other way around and it don't fit. So one of
Yep.
those things. So that's where you get an
Well,
X series and you make it a little bigger and it works perfect, or
yeah.
cut it down, right? So
Well, the reason I was going to ask you that is obviously you've started doing one-piece doors once you got a CNC, and that's a lot of what your painted projects are now, almost exclusively, right?
so I mean,
Is
that's exclusively our painted product essentially. I mean,
Was there any pushback when you brought that to your
I
builders
got
or
requested that
homeowners,
from
or
designers. Designers were requesting that you
I
do
see.
one-piece doors. The one builder we do, they're like, "We like our doors one-piece MDF," and I was like, "Well, great, that's what we do." So, that's what we were. And before I had CNC, we had Mosaic, but I was ordering all my doors. So I'd order all my doors and, paint my doors at the shop and do it that or and essentially when we got too busy, when we got overwhelmed in the shop and take out and just order the doors pre-painted and do things like that. So we kinda use our resources in that aspect of things. Um, but
Oh,
I mean,
so you still do that if you get busy. You'll order
d
some doors here and there, or
no.
if you
I
get
mean,
not
it's
anymore.
no, not anymore. We're because I think we're a little, if my guys are watching, a little better at scheduling things, so we'll say they'll sit there and go, "Ah, no, no way we're better at scheduling things." No, I mean, because we see what we have, like, we're trying to forecast. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of things and items out there that I could benefit from, trying to get into, like software and things like that that can help with the scheduling and seeing how things go through and talking
Yep.
with Brad from Stolbeck and his like Kazenify, doing something of like that where trying to get this lean operating thing going and do that. I think every one of the books you listen to or any of the books you read, it starts at the top, and I'm essentially the top. And if it doesn't
And
start with me, then I can't
that's
I
you.
can't tell my guys to do something that I'm not doing. So
Yep.
that's something
What
that I have to.
software what software tools are you using currently outside of Mosaic for scheduling and communication and
Communication, we use Slack. We use Slack for like Slack channels to talk through all of our jobs. So that can get
yep.
overwhelming. There's a lot of just a lot of jobs that are there, and
Yep. So
I mean,
each job gets its own channel
each
in
job
Slack,
gets
is
its
that?
own channel, yes. So each job
Yep.
gets its own channel, pictures, questions, anything goes into channel. So it would come down to a point where the guys would say, back before we had this, they would just send me a text. Hey, I need this, I need that. If I'm in a meeting, my guys know, my other clients know. If I'm in a, I'm not answering my phone. Like that customer has my attention. Like you have my 100% attention. Maybe if my wife calls 4 times in a row, like there's a rule, right? 3 times in a row, you answer that phone
Yep.
call, something's up. So, those questions, like that's when I'm probably going to answer that phone call. But you know, anybody 3 times in a row that's in my favorites. So you
Yep.
called me 3 times, Nick, you'll get
All
it.
right. Well, now I know that. That's good. If I need to get a
Except
hold of
at
you.
12 o'clock at night. So unless I
Yeah.
text you first. But
Yeah,
no,
sure.
I think like Slack has helped out with that. So I tell the guys, everything, put something in Slack. The reason is anybody in that channel can also see it. So if it needs something that needs to be ordered or something that needs to be changed, somebody else can see it. And if I don't get it done, somebody else might be able to get that change done or order that part that we need or anything. So
Yep.
it's just like a community talk. Like it's like Messenger. We're just talking throughout each channel.
Yep.
So
Yep.
each job has a channel. And we go from there. But again, besides that, QuickBooks, like that's I mean, I don't have other software out like that I'm not using. I did see something. I like to get things that can integrate with what I currently have. I don't want to get another thing and have another and just have like 10 softwares telling me what to do and
Yep.
I'm lost now and then I'm before you know it you're spending money on not using them. So I think that's what I kind of end up getting myself into is just jumping into a software and not going to work. Let's try something different. I think Trello is another one we use. Lisa in my office, she uses it more than I do. She still sets everything up, and I think if we can get that working properly, I think that would be a great, scheduling help thing. I don't know. I looked at someone posted something again on Facebook. I go on there once a month, and I saw somebody post one thing, and I go down a rabbit hole, and next thing you know, I'm looking at the software that's in Australia. So, I don't know what it's about yet. I haven't looked at it
Job,
yet.
job man, I'm guessing is
Yeah,
what
Job Man. Yeah, that's
you're
the one
referring
I
to.
saw
Okay.
that. So, I think the couple of guys that mentioned it, they seem to love it the way it integrates with Mosaic. Trying to get a call with them, but I think it's 8 o'clock at night or 1 in the morning. So I might be doing 1 in the morning Friday night thing. Maybe one of those little party nights. So
Yeah, you should let me know what you find out about it. I'm not super familiar. I don't really know
don't
what it
know
even
anything
does.
except for the website. Like that's as far as I've got. I watched a couple of videos, and that's where I've got. That sometimes that going back to the bottleneck is where it gets to my head, and then it doesn't get to actual like here. So I bottleneck myself sometimes and things like that. So
Do you feel like your company that type? Do you feel like you need help there in communication and project
yeah, I think
management?
so.
And
Like project management would be a great kind of part where there is only so much hats that an owner can wear. I mean, he can wear all of them, but then before you know it, things start falling apart and, issues. So you have those guys that you can depend on, like a shop foreman, running the entire shop, meeting with that guy and going through and fixing that. Um, Office staff, there, and then having an outside foreman doing that. And I think that's without giving everybody and then just sitting back in your chair and watching it all work, which is, the ideal solution when I'm, older, it'd be great because then I can have somebody else running the facility and just keep the business name going, in my
hmm
dad's name essentially. So um, that's where it goes. That's everybody's goal is to have a business that I, I don't think I want a business that I'm just label it for sale and have somebody come in and buy it because I think there's too much of blood, sweat, and tears right now into it. And the name, the name is my dad's initials. That's his. I always asked him, why did you pick EJ? He's like, you can run from a fictitious name, but you can't run from your own name. So these are his initials. So unless he changes his name, which he can't, which he probably could, but not right now. So I mean, unless his name got changed, the name doesn't get changed. You can't run from that. So that's I'm not no need to change the name. It's been around for a, quite a while. That's going way back to origin story, but, you can
do you
cut that out
think?
and put it there.
No, you're good. Do you think? What's kind of the next piece for you? I know that you still do a lot of the drawing on some of the more challenging projects, right?
Mhm, yeah.
And do you feel like that's the next place to find someone and free yourself up to do more
Yeah,
day
I
to
think
day,
I
just
would like
simply
to do
operating the business?
yeah, I think more of, myself in the field, meeting with clients, more operating them and going and being more getting to the point of hands-on with, like, my dad was more hands-on kinda thing, in the field doing things and not necessarily maybe, knowing exactly how to do something we have to do, but telling and having explaining to a guy as opposed to just explaining it with a picture and saying a picture and sending it in Slack and saying, "Hey, this is what I need you to do." If I'm there, it's a little bit more, and we can talk about it. Because if I show them a picture and they do it like that, and it's still wrong, they're like, "Hey, I did the picture. That's what you wanted me to do." So, sometimes you can talk it through and lean on their ideas as well. Like these guys
Of
are
course.
intelligent, craftsmen. They know what they're doing, so they know how to do it. Let them kind of come up with an idea too, and then it's theirs. Then they can kind of take their pride in there as well. So I think kind of growing within the company, I would take my guy that's already with me, been with me for a while, and get him into that seat of doing a little bit more of a complicated job, and maybe having someone slip in there where he can now teach somebody low. Because I think you do learn from teaching people. I mean, I think it's a another way of learning, so it's just uh, I'm a horrible teacher. Tell you that. So if Josh is watching, sorry, I'm just horrible at teaching. So I think, why doesn't anybody know
Sorry,
this?
Josh.
Sorry, like, why don't you know how to do this? This is simple, but making a curved door is not simple, but everybody should know how to do it, right? So, that's why I got people on. I know how to do it because I have people behind me that know how to do it, I think. So I think if I could be a better teacher, it's without having I have to get that drawing done for those clients because yeah, it's myself doing the intricate drawings and Josh doing the builder's drawings essentially. So, and then he has some other off clients that come in, maybe like built-ins and things like that, but never really on a large, intricate, detail-oriented job. Now, some of his are getting that point, so I think it's like maybe a good transition where I can get him to do mine, and I can help him and train a little bit on that side of things, and then have him train. Because again, when he starts talking through he's like, "Oh, I know how to do it now." Like it kind of the wheel starts spinning, and then you start figuring out how to do it yourself. So
Yep.
I think it's kind of
Seems
really.
seems like a good plan to me. I mean, do you have any coming up that are similar to like the Gertis one and the ones that we have worked on in the past?
Yeah, we probably got like a handful of them right now, so I just gotta get them all drawn up, so one of
Yeah.
those things just, and
Well,
that's
getting
also myself. It's just head down, get it done, and just do what you gotta do, but, it's almost like just I think it's the letting go, like, just say, "Okay," like, let them do
hmm
it, and then you get to a certain point where you just, "Okay, no, just give me the drawing, I'll take care of it," and Josh has heard that plenty of times, and again, sorry, Josh. So just shout
yeah.
out to Josh for sorry.
But I think giving him a chance at one of those and working through that probably not a bad idea.
Probably not. Probably
Yeah.
not, definitely. And I think myself being the calculated side, so, okay, I need somebody in that seat first before I do that, so that way I don't bog the other jobs down and then have those clients getting upset because my drawings are taking, well, because they're also a faster builder, so they're going to want, here's my selections, I need my drawings, and then I need to get my trades in there and things will work out a lot faster than a custom job. So, um, I think that's maybe going back to that question as well. I mean, those parametric standard styles jobs are, you can get them in and out, in and out, and still do the same thing you're doing, not rushing a job, not rushing cutting corners or anything like that. Just, but you can, they're set to a certain size, and you kind of have that thing work itself out, so it's perfect. But no, I think it's a great idea too. So I think it's something I'm gonna. If anybody in Naples, Southwest Florida is looking for a mosaic job, because that's the other thing, trying to find somebody with mosaic background.
hmm
KCD is close. I mean, I think when they come in, they see, oh, 2020, and I'm like, well, S- Sinkley is now 2020 in mosaic, so it's pretty similar. I think it's, when you get down to it, I think it's all having the Jason Baum catalog, which is
I
easy.
was
If
just
you if you
just gonna
have
say
that,
it's all about your organization and libraries that you
mine
put
looks
together for
better,
them.
but not,
That's good.
it's much better when you first met me, Nick. So
Slow
I couldn't
progression.
find my own things in my own catalog. And then I expect
We've
my
all been
team
there.
to find those things because it's like, come on, guys, it's there. Well, I've searched up, and I mean, I don't know how many times I've scrolled up and down finding something. I'm like, where is this part? So if anything, Mosaic needs is a search button. You can search a name,
Not
say
bad.
Nick's favorite cabinet, and it pops
Yeah,
up.
but then you got to remember what you called it. That's the
Stop
hard.
it.
That's the
Everybody
problem.
remembers everything. Just get a tattoo right here of
um,
all the cabinets. There you go.
yeah. Well, tell me this. I mean, um, we talked about machine purchases and kind of where your business is now. What do you think the 5 year picture is? What does this business look like in 5 years or 5 months even?
5 months. I kind of want to. I like where we're at. I like to keep things growing. I don't want to get to a point and say, okay, like plateau. I think
hmm
we spoke one time of, I think it was either we spoke or it was with somebody else where you get to a point like paint was doing phenomenal, like it was doing excellent, and then you get to a point where it goes like this, so you plateau, then you break it all apart and you redo it, so you add a paint system. Now you're back, like you're learning. So I think we're back to almost that kind of point where it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. So, I mean, I currently talking with a new that's where I was calling Ethan about is
hmm
CNC, going to an offload system. Right now we just have a manual load, manual offload. It's great. I mean, we're probably my guy in the shop, Tristan, he probably says it's like he could probably do a 30 to 40, sheet job in a day, start to finish, and have that. Um Doors on Frost Labs does not, that takes a little bit longer because they have
It
corner rounding. The
it
bit
sure
dances a tad
does.
bit. So I go back there. I'm like, "How you doing?" He's like, "This is the second sheet." I'm like, "It's 3 o'clock." He's like, "They take forever." And I'm like, "Oh, great." So especially when
He's
you do a
selling
one
some
piece
fancy
inset with a
doors.
big cove door, so that's like
hmm
that's a great fun job to do.
Those are 3 hour long programs.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, they take time. I mean, it's when you're sitting there going, oh. And that's another thing. Like you think, okay, 50 sheets, we can get that done in 2 days, but you just don't look at the actual So factor in those down days. You can actually now use that down day as a cut day. So you're not really losing a day, and now you're just cramming it in again. I mean, so that's going to be probably within the next year or so. We'll have that CNC. I mean, more closetry. I mean, getting into closets, I think a little bit more. You've yelled at me a couple times. Again, you're the only guy on Marco, so why are you not doing more closets by yourself? I think
Amen.
that's a great avenue. So, I know when I went to one of the BSC event, talking with Charlie out there, you know, rattling his brain again. Just he did closets. That's what he does. Hey, what do you do? And he showed me a couple of his ideas. I'm like, man, that's genius. Like, don't give them a book and let them pick. Like, show them what they get. Like, and make it easy. Keep it simple, stupid, right? So I think it's one of those things. And just going through it, talking and asking questions is great. Going. That's the thing. I think that's what the Mosaic group is great. It's 100% great for that. Um, but not to dodge. I think within the next 5 years, I wanna see it grow a little bit more. I don't wanna. Again, there's that fine line. There's that line of 20. The next guy, one guy might not get us to the 7, 8, 9, $10 million range, but it might. But maybe a guy in a
Hmm.
machine would. So it's kind of like one of those things. It's kind of like having a guy run that machine and having this kind of offset. So I think you asked me the question, can I do what we do right now with 10 guys? Can we do it with 15 guys? So we tried, like this early this year and, it got a little hairy. You're sitting there because you're used to having, 20 guys or 22 guys and everybody had a position. So uh, going back to when we were two guys and myself, the two guys I kept, they knew how to cut, they knew how to install, they knew how to band, they knew how to, so
Yep.
they could do
Everything.
everything. So, eh, I couldn't afford to pay myself for 2 years when the downturn happened, so I wasn't taking a paycheck. They were my guy dad's rules were pay your guys. The first thing you do is pay your guys. If you don't pay your guys, 1, they're not gonna work and then you won't get paid. So you
Yep.
have to take care of your employees, like, that's the number one thing he's always drilled into my head is just take care of your employees. So, doing that for 2 years, they knew how to do multiple things. So I think that's like I like to have guys that know how to do different facets of the business and do that. So I think 5 years, I do want to see it grow to where we're at now. And if we were staying where we're at now and steadily, busy, I'm comfortable with that as well. I think it's um, again, I'm not too great with the laying a chart down and seeing the things. I kind of know and the bottlenecks right here, trying to get it to here and onto paper and all that. So again, I kind of know where I
Yep.
want to be and things like that. But ROI, funny words like that. Like who does that? But actual companies do that, and I think it's a great thing to do. It's a they're big investments. I mean, they're big things to jump into. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
it's the next step is a $500,000 worth of machines. Essentially, that's the next three things. CNC, a new edge band, and a robot that sands doors. So that's like those are the three things.
Yep.
That's the three.
I
So
see.
there's my 3-year plan. Like to get it down to 2 or 1. So something of that nature. So
What are
and
you going to
then
do about your space issue? Because isn't that one of the limiting factors?
yeah, reach out to the owner, buy the building. I guess right. So real
Oh,
estate's
that just
inexpensive
that
on
simple.
Marco.
Yeah.
It's
Jeez.
No, I
I
mean,
see.
already, been in contact and trying to take over more space. So
I see.
there's only a few more, 3,000 more square feet. So we'd essentially, increase our size we're at 6, so we'd go to 3, 9. So that would help for where we're at. That's where going to Naples, there's not infinite space because, I mean, there is, you can get big buildings, but you're going to be spending big money. So, I mean, it's just a matter of, seeing what we really need. I think that would be, that's probably within my 5-year goal as well to have the building in our name. I mean, dad never had the chance to buy it. Had the opportunity to buy it for $500,000 back in a day, which now that's somewhat folded multiple times.
I
I
was
think
going to
there's a
say,
2 to a number as opposed to
at,
just
le- at,
a couple
at
numbers.
least. Yeah.
But, no, so but I think it's all relative. I mean, because again, asked him why, and he was just doing goes, "I moved down here," did the math. He moved down here when he was my age, so he's 40 years old when he moved down here, moved to 2 kids, had nothing going. So the way he kind of started, going way back now. So he was working for a guy, and the guy came in one day and just gave him the keys and said, "This is your company. I'm out. I'm leaving. I don't want anything to do
And
with it."
just
Just
and just
left,
left?
left everything. Left everything to my dad and said, "This is,"
What?
left everything to my dad and said, "If you want it, you can take it." So he moved across the street where we've been since, ever since, and that's how we started doing it. Because he tried to build stairs, but in Florida, there's a lot of concrete pouring, and there's not a whole lot of spiral staircases going up places. So, I mean, there's a few of them, but there's not a whole lot. It wouldn't have been, making a whole lot of, a business thing with staircases. So,
Wow, I don't know if I ever heard that story that he got keys dropped in his hand.
I mean, the guy essentially went to him. I mean, there's probably more. I mean, he told us, he's like, "Yeah, this is how, like, this is what it was." I mean, he told us stories about what the other companies and how they were ran. He just didn't want it run like that. So I think that's where the guy's just like, I'm done with this. You can have it. And if you want it, if you don't, then just close the door behind me, with you. So do what you want to do. And he took that. That's the way he was. He was a go-getter. He did a lot of things. I mean, he was hands-on. He did a lot. He was always involved heavily with what things happened. So again, I think more of I mean, that's when CNCs were $500,000, back then,
Yeah,
and they were a
at
lot
least.
bigger than what they are now.
Mhm,
And they did
mhm,
probably a little bit less than what they do now. So it's
mhm.
one of those things. But no, so that was, yeah, that's that's his story back there. So, but
Nice.
no, I think the 5 years getting it just a little bit more automated. I like automation. I got into that. Um, was it a book or no? It was a magazine article that Brad wrote one time, and it was about automation and how they were unloading at a loading dock. I think it's one of his well-known stories, if anything. And he unloaded his robotic arm, the Cosmo, and the loading dock guy said to him, he's like, "Man, you guys are stealing jobs over here." And he's like, "Really?" He goes, "Okay, so why do you have forklifts? Why are forklifts working? Why don't you get 100 guys to lift my machine up and do it?" He goes, "I'm
Mhm,
just making that job easier." He goes, "Now they can get," he goes, "You get a guy for that machine. I need somebody to run that machine. They're not taking over the people. They're making their job easier. And making their job easier is quicker. Nobody says, we don't say faster anymore. It's quicker. It's quicker. It's easier. So if it's an easier job, you can produce more. So I think that's I like that. When I read that article, I was like, man, that's it. And that's kind of when he fell into my lap by driving around Marco when he was visiting, so, and he took a tour of the shop, and now we're in contact with each other and
yep.
text messaging
What
him.
a
So
what a crazy coincidence that that
yeah,
is.
it was because again, I forget where it was. I was on LinkedIn or something, and I said, I don't know what I said. And again, just drop the mic. I do that. I think I do that a lot. I think, um, and then he called up the shop. He's like, "Hey," and I think I was traveling that day. I was getting ready to go out of town. We were all packed up. And the office called me, said, "Hey, there's a guy named Brad here." And I was like, "Brad from like Stolbeck?" And they're like, "Yeah." I was like, "Babe, I gotta go. I gotta go meet this guy. Like this guy's like a lean genius is what."
Postpone vacation.
Postpone, like, give me an hour at least. And I think it was an hour and a half, 2 hours late, which we were fine. It was just somewhere close by. So we were able to make it work. But no, just getting in front of and talking to guys like yourself and Phil's and Jason's and all these other guys and Brad's, and I mean, we just had a guy, Eric Marshall. He was down for closets. I mean, guys, if you need a jolt of energy, you get Eric around you. I
That is
swear
the truth.
it's the truth, and I'm
Yes.
I'm amazed. Like, he's so fun to be around, and I mean, he just gets the whole team involved, and then, like, told myself I can get like a tenth of what he's got, I would be better off. Because I,
Mhm.
I mean, I can get myself in a down position. My guys know when I'm upset. They know when something's wrong, and I don't like that. It's not good. It's not good for the aura of the shop. So I try to hide that as best I can. But there's only so much you can hide. So I
Mhm.
think on the business side of things, it's tricky to. I mean, it's tricky when you have employees. I mean, you kind of have to. You're essentially married to all your guys and girls in the office, and keeping everybody happy, because that's, a good morale is really good for the shop. So, I mean,
It is.
but
But I think to your point though, I mean, when you say you try to hide it, that's good, right? We should, as business owners, take a lot of that on ourselves. But it's also kind of okay for people to know that something's not right too, right? We're not robots, we're humans.
Mhm.
And I think
think it's talking about it as opposed to like
For sure.
slinging a tape
right.
measure. Like there's two different ways of showing
Yeah,
it. Like there's two
of
different
course.
ways, and I'm not speaking from experience. I've never done that, so it's just, but it's
Yeah, you've never had a yelling match in the back
maybe once, so maybe once or twice.
or twice.
Maybe one of my best friends, he's out in California, and he looked at me one day, he's like, you and your dad are like Orange County choppers, like Big Mike and Little Mike, like you fight to the end of the day, and all of a sudden, like at the end of the day, you're like, okay, so what did we achieve today? Like me and my dad were just, it was great because I think we learned from each other. I don't think maybe he learned a little bit of the I mean, he was the guy that had the triangular ruler with the sink base that you traced out, hand drew everything at 2 in the morning till time to go to work, and it was all hand drawn, drawings. And I showed him 2020, and he's like, "Ah." No, he showed me cabinet vision, like cabinet vision with the printer plug-in. That's like, that was your key. Like they had the
Okay.
print, you know, there was things before USBs. I'm talking now like I'm very old, but they're like, come on, kids, there's things before USBs. They had the printer plug-in, and then they get to those little doggles. So he had that. I think he had version 1. So and that was him, self-taught himself how to draw it. I had to learn that. And then I said, Dad, there's better software out there. No, this is perfect. This does a great job. I think my dad's last drawing he did was my house, and it's right here. So, he had
Really?
yeah, that was the last drawing he did, essentially, when we were moving into my other house. So, that's the program that he had. That was very rudimentary what he did, but I found that going through
Awesome.
we just moved into a new house. I'm going through all my paperwork, and that's my dad's last drawing. So I think the date was, yeah, 10/23/13. So, and after that, I'm like, Dad, you don't need to do any more drawings. He was doing drawings for his friends. His friends are like, hey, he's, no, that's what I told him. I mean, again, you don't want to tell, I think it's tough to tell, say, stop working, stop doing this, because he was he was born in that era where you don't stop doing things. Like that was it. I think he was worried about not working and things like that, because I think it was more of a you know
Yep.
useless. I can't do anything now. So
Right.
which is,
It's a pride thing, right?
it's a
It's what
pride
you've
thing.
been
Yeah.
doing your whole life.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, 100%. So I think that, but yeah. So it was that was a good change for him. So
Nice. Well, this has been awesome, Chris.
yeah.
Thank you for joining.
Oh, I thank
Love
you.
hearing the origin stories. I knew a couple of them, but I learned a lot today too. I had no idea that your dad got keys to a business dropped in his hand,
Yeah, I mean,
and
again,
that's
he
how it all
probably had a
started.
couple
That's
things not
sure,
told, but
but just the sentiment. I mean,
that's how
you
he
kind
told
of.
us he got it. So
I mean, in the end, like both of you kind of got an unexpected business
yeah, I
kind of
mean,
dropped
essentially, it's the same
in your
thing, it's
lap.
just a
Really,
different way. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
yeah. So no, I mean, it's
interesting.
yeah, yeah, different ways,
Well,
but yeah, it works out. But yeah, I mean, that's
well,
when you have to
you're
get
the
up and
man,
go. So
Chris. You're the man.
no,
Thank you
I mean,
for
Nick,
joining, and
thank you for that cold email. And I'm glad now to say you are, United States wide, countrywide, and international, Nick. So
yeah,
I always tell you, I'm honored to have you in my speed dial here. So
absolutely,
it's
man.
great to talk to you. I'm glad you got me out of this. Nicole said, "You're doing a podcast?" Like, she goes, "You don't even go on
Yeah,
Facebook. You're
I
not even on
know.
Instagram."
Get out of your shell, man.
I'm in my shell, right? That's what
S-
I got to do.
That's right. No, this is
So,
awesome, Chris.
hey, thanks a lot.
I'm sure we'll talk soon, and we'll see you, man.
Appreciate it.